Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of World Talks here on TVP World. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and please join me and my guests on this next interview. Now, can AI seem conscious even if it's not? Microsoft's AI chief warns that today's systems are getting so good at mimicking emotions and memory that many people may start believing they're actually alive. Now, that raises serious ethical and regulatory questions. So, where's the line between smart machines and sentient illusions? Joining us today on TVP World is Filip Konopczyński, AI and digital technology regulation expert at Poland's Ministry of Digital Affairs. Hello, sir, and welcome to TVP World.
Nice to be here. Thanks.
So I'm really curious about this, quote, a seemingly conscious AI that the Microsoft AI chief is warning about. Why is it raising alarms right now?
Well, the basic reason for that is that after a series of updates on the leading AI models, there's been an outrage of people who are disappointed about the new versions of their beloved products. And it happens just recently with GPT, but we know other situations where the group of users that are we call them power users or heavy users, are so attached to a current state of a product that any change makes them feel disappointed or even left out. And that poses serious questions when it comes to the relationship that we tend to form with, well, I'm sorry to say that, with machines. I know that top AI experts are discussing the possibility of machines getting sentient at some point, but I'm pretty sure, and the majority of voices from the AI community claims that we're not there yet, if we're ever going to be there. But it doesn't stop people from falling in, either in love or establishing different sorts of relationships. And then when something is, or someone, as a lot of people perceive those systems, is taken away from us, we feel loss, and that's a human thing.
Right, that's very interesting because a lot of these language models are actually algorithmic. So when there's any changes to it, of course, its behavior changes. But for people who are attached to it, it almost feels like losing a friend. Do you think that there's any real risk people will actually start treating AI as sentient even when it's not? And do you think there's going to be any even like larger societal impact of that?
Well, I guess we're here for the ride, and we'll know quite soon how many of us are falling for this type of relationships. To me, it seems like a quite paradoxical situation. We know that it's a toy, we know it's a gadget, but we still fool ourselves and humanize it and anthropomorphize it in a way that, is puzzling scholars, and it has very serious consequences, not just for it will be a problem of itself, for our relationship with other people, the society, and the technology, but it also is the problems that it causes for the business community are quite similar. Imagine you're a business entrepreneur and you make your business model somewhere on the lower ends of the technology lifecycle or pipeline. So you're basically selling products but you need the large language models as an operator. So you're provided with certain types of service, and then reach out to your consumer base. Whenever these types of things change, it affects your business model. And something that was providing profit just a week ago may no longer be financially viable, and that's whole of a mess that we're in right now. But nevertheless, we have to honestly say that the changes delivered by the leading engineers are quite stunning, and we're definitely getting better and better products. But still, there are some major downsides to the current state of AI technology.
Right. We've noticed that with the recent update, not just this most recent one, but I believe it's like 4.0, I noticed that these AIs are starting to use like reaffirming language or kind of emotional language and expression to almost make it feel like a real person. Do you think that perhaps these kind of changes should be rolled back for people to better differentiate the tool that these AI models are and not form these emotional connections? Or do you think it's in these companies' financial interest to actually get people hooked onto these machines and thinking that these are sentient communication partners?
Well, despite the appearance, it's not really a technological problem, not even a legal one. It's a business question. So we all can come up with really great ways of using those, even deepfake technology. Imagine using for purely therapeutical reasons under the auspices of psychiatrists to re-establish connection of someone who's been struck down by a mental breakdown, for instance. I think we would all agree that there are some ways that can be useful for the society. But on the other hand, it all depends on the business model, as I said. If your revenue comes from the engagement of as many users as possible, then all you need to do is hook up people to your toys, and it doesn't really matter whether it's productive for the economy. We don't measure that, but as long as people stay hooked. And we know this business model from the social media saga. So it all started with a tool that was supposedly meant to make us all feel connected and reach out to people from all around the world. And 20 years later, we're fighting over deepfake images on all sorts of cultural wars and other like polarizing topics.
Hyperpolarization.
And it's not because of the social media's technology is bad or internet is bad as a technology, but the business model it's being operated on by the big players. Well, it's just not very positive when you look from it from the either economic or societal point of view, really.
And I'm also seeing the problem with a lot of more and more kind of models popping up, and every company is trying to establish their own AI or LLM as well. Do you think that with this much competition, it's going to even create a race for advanced AI, pushing companies to take more ethical shortcuts?
Well, in that case, I'm an old school free marketeer. I think the more the merrier. The bigger the competition pack is at this point, the better products and lower prices are being offered for customers or users. I'm afraid, though, that this rate of mainly spending that those leading AI companies are have to allocate towards their products and services is not maintainable. So we're going to hit the wall, and I mean that's a pessimist in me saying we might hit a wall when it comes to global funding on particularly large language models, generative AI tools, and then we'll see who's left out after this potentially dot-com bubble 2.0. But still, nevertheless, even despite the potential financial problems for certain companies, the technology is real, and we're looking for really fascinating ways of implementing it to better our lives.
Right, I see it coming from both directions. This is, like you mentioned, a very real technology and is bringing a lot of convenience to our life. But at the same time, I also see how it could be overhyped and turn into, like, again, you mentioned a bubble. Do we see a case of overhype in AI technology because it's such a convenient term to market services? I've even read news about a certain AI company which turns out just to be like 700 Indian guys typing out responses.
Well, that's one side of the thing, but hyping is just a leverage to used by the CEOs and tech leaders to for marketing purposes, and it's perfectly understandable. If I would be saying a product to you right now, I would be saying it's the best. I wouldn't be saying that my product introduces a new form of being and super intelligence, but you know, who am I to judge? I'm not an OpenAI or Anthropic engineer, but there is even within the AI community, there is this fear of some people who are not necessarily engineers themselves that are hyping it to a point where the whole community is going to pay the price, and that's a serious problem. So please be responsible. Sam Altman and Elon Musk and all of those other really brilliant business people, but the AI is more important than any company's interest.
Right, and like you mentioned, being responsible and a lot of the societal impact that comes with these kind of seemingly conscious AI, do you think that there is any role where the government regulator can play when it comes to ramifying these advanced technology, or do you think any attempt at containing it is eventually futile?
Oh, definitely. And I think globally, almost every society, or virtually all societies, agree that we need some type of regulation. And the good news is that many countries and regional blocs are introducing those regulations as we speak. So we're in the middle of the implementation of the AI Act, let's say regulatory ecosystem, which, for instance, is going to make companies that use chatbots, it's a simple thing, but you have to inform the user that it's a chatbot, not a person. So very basic stuff. Of course, there's more complicated questions and responsibilities that are going to come underway. Of course, China is doing a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to AI regulation, both regulating AI and incentivizing the development of the frontier models, of the cutting edge models, such as DeepSeek, for instance. So we know that the regulation is part of the solution, and it's not just a question of protecting people. Of course, that's a democratic and a societal imperative to have that. But think of cars or planes. Would they really be better without any regulation? I think we should have some kind of measurement systems and audits that will allow our cars to be safe and not just fast or cheap.
All right, brilliant. Thank you so much for your input and insight. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World Talks. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.